Today I want to shoot out a few Twin Bender style pedals to see how they compare in all sorts of ways. I've had the Ramble FX Twin Bender on my main board for a few years now, and since 2 years I also own the Deep Trip Page Bender that I also really like. Recently I also got a Kryptone by Deep Trip Pedals and a Rover by Skreddy Pedals, which is also sold under the Animal Pedals brand. The Page Bender, Rover and Twin Bender are based on Twin Bender Mark II style fuzzes, while the latter also does Mark 1.5, on which I have it currently set. And the Kryptone is based on a Vox Tone Bender. I will play all 4 of these fuzz pedals to 3 different amps with 3 different guitars in 3 different orders to get the best idea of how they compare and what all of these fuzzes can do. And to start things off, I will play my Telecaster through my Dr. Z Z-Rack Jr. I didn't set up the pedals to sound the same, I just used them in the settings I usually use them with, and I think in this comparison they all sound good in a different way. None of them farted out on the lower chords and they all retain definition. With the Rover you could hear a nasal high mid-range poking through and it was also the most compressed, while the Twin Bender has the most noise, being the only Germanium pedal out of these 4. Now onto the amp that has the biggest frequency range of itself, including the most low end. I'll grab my Les Paul Jr. and plug it into the divided by 13 BTR-23. Here the differences get bigger, and I think the first 2 fuzzes, which are both Twin Bender Mark II style fuzzes, got a bit more muddy than the last 2. But with this setup I think the Twin Bender was the clear winner, having the most clarity out of all 4 of them. Last but not least, I will play some humbuckers through my Marshall Plexi, which is basically home for me, so I'm very curious how that compares. Once again, the Twin Bender shines, and in this case the Page Bender is a very close second to me. The nasally mid-range that I mentioned before on the Rover gets very pronounced to the plexi, which is something I wouldn't like all the time. And the Kryptone sounds a bit dull on this last comparison to me. This was an interesting experiment. I think my trusty old Twin Bender still sounds great, but it's always nice to be reminded of that after a few years of owning and playing it. And I'm still debating whether I should keep the Kryptone and or the Rover fuzz. And lastly, I think the Page Bender is way more useful and versatile than I showed in this video, but I use the same settings for all the comparisons. But I know, and I think you should know, that the Page Bender can do a lot more than I showcased in this video today. Hopefully it gave you an idea of how these fuzzes sound through different amps that are already overdriven, which I have to mention, and with different guitars. If you don't own a tone bender, I highly suggest you get one because I think they are awesome. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below, and while you're down there, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you next time.